Hello, viewers. I'm Simon Preston, and this is Reggae Boys commentary. It's the match review for Jamaica versus the United States that took place in Tennessee this evening. The Americans have beaten the Jamaicans 1-0, courtesy through a goal from Jordan Morris in the 59th minute, a pass from Benny Failhaber in the 59th minute, creating the assist for Jamaica with Ryan Thompson in goal for the Jamaicans. This is the first time that the Americans have beaten the Jamaicans since 2013. That was a 2-0 victory in the World Cup qualifiers in Kansas. In addition to that, this is the first time that the Americans have beaten Jamaica 1-0 since November 7th, 1993. Well, what can we say about the Jamaicans? There are a number of things that can be said, but first, let's just have a quick look at some of the stats from today's encounter. Now, if you look at the passing accuracy from this encounter, the Jamaicans only had a 67 pass accuracy. That's not good at international level, not good at all. So basically, 6.5 passes that we create out of 10 are accurate. You need to be much, much sharper with that. That is critical. If you look at the way we started, we lost the ball far too easily, especially in our own half, and gifted the Americans loads of space to pounce on us and really put us under pressure. You had Andre Blake in the first half, who was quite busy in that first half. So out of the 282 passes, it was just 67% that we completed well. As it relates to the amount of percent that we attacked, 57% in the attacking half, while the Americans spent 76% in our half. Isn't that interesting? They certainly spent a lot of time on us. If you look at crosses, the Americans put in 28 crosses into the box, while we only put in 9 crosses into the box. So the Americans did not have much defensively to do against us. Neither goalkeeper that they had on for this encounter made a save for the Americans. They're quite quiet, other than corner kicks to be a bit agile to orchestrate their defense. They were quite fine. I don't think they even need a shower because their jerseys might not have been sweaty. So Luis Robles kept the first half, and then David Bingham kept the second half for the Americans. So that's how basically that it went out for the United States. For the Jamaicans, as we know, it was a 4-4-2 formation that we played for this encounter. Before I progress a bit further, remember, if you want to leave a comment, go ahead and do so. I can read it out. If there's a question you want to ask or anything like that, do leave your comments and I can answer it immediately, since this is a live stream. So please go ahead and do so. Leave your comment and I will get back to you. So basically, as I was saying, under a lot of pressure from the word go. You can see that the way that we started, we invited the Americans to come at us. It's like we're saying, come at us and we will neutralize your threat. And in the first half, we did neutralize their threat with the likes of Damian Lowe, Sergio Campbell, O'Neill Fisher, and Alvis Paul. O'Neill Fisher liked the pace that he brought down that left-hand side for the Jamaicans. He really gave the Americans something to work with, keep them on their toes down that left-hand side for the Jamaicans. So I'm very happy with the way that he brought things for Jamaica. Remember that he's an MLS Cup champion with Seattle Sounders, so momentum going his way. But I must say I'm very disappointed because this is a vulnerable United States team, a team that is wounded, out of confidence, out of form, and this was the best time to beat the Americans. But we haven't, because Bruce Arena is a no-nonsense sort of coach. This is only his second game with the team, and as time goes by, he's going to get this team gelled more, and by the Gold Cup, the Americans are going to be unstoppable. And by that time, if we face the Americans, it's going to be even tougher to beat them. So Bruce Arena continues with his wonderful record against the Jamaicans. We have lost to the Americans, lost our first game in 2017 as well. Very, 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 very disappointing. Any positives to take from this encounter? Yes, we do have positives to take from this encounter. There were, 7 minutes into this match, 7 minutes left in the match, so 83rd minute. Two pairs of 19-year-olds made their debut for Jamaica. Shamar Nicholson, who was a leading goal scorer in the Red Stripe Premier League in Jamaica, he made his debut for Jamaica, and also the other teenage sensation, Jordan Fletcher, also made his debut for Jamaica. The 19-year-old making his debut for Jamaica. Very, very happy for what he has done. Team, and also showing that he deserves a place, because not much local players, especially young players, have been given that opportunity. Other than those two, come to think of it, the last teenager and local teenager, you'd say, to go on and make their debut for Jamaica. Remember 5 years ago we had Georgina James, the 17-year-old who scored on his debut for Jamaica. We don't see that very often, so I'm quite happy that they got 7 minutes under their belt. You could see that there was a lot of fire in their belly, running down balls, truly giving the Americans something to work with. So that's what I saw from that. So before I continue, let's go briefly into the comments. Chiny Boy says, sad. Yes, it was quite sad, Chiny Boy. Drainik, worst set of players. I don't know how people would rather a somewhat local-based squad representing Jamaica. I'm sorry, but the team was better with the new system Schaefer was implementing with. Interesting comment there, Drainik. You know, after that match against Suriname, where we beat them 1-0, Captain Burrell said that we wouldn't be seeing a bulk of UK-born players back in the team. It was an opportunity for local players to stake their claim in the team. So for this sort of period, I don't mind it. But heading into the Gold Cup, we're definitely going to need to bulk up with some more experienced players. I'm talking the core players, Adrian Mariappa, Joby McAnuff, Gareth McCleary, Wes Morgan, Michael Hector. For me, those are one of the players. Javane Clark says, I told you we were going to lose. Yeah, you said that Jamaica would lose. Billy Bob, it wasn't a bad game. Some may argue that too. Drainik, yeah, it's not a FIFA day, but I hope all who wanted this team enjoyed the game. The team can't even take a shot against what seems like a fourth-tier American squad. And is Whitmore a coach? Well, Whitmore is a coach. And it's true that this is not the strongest American team, but this American team is a team in transition, you could say. A lot of their elder statesmen, you don't see them as much as once before. So it's an opportunity for them to get in the squad for their World Cup qualifiers. And MLS players are given the opportunity. Bruce Arena knows what he wants to do. I think he's the best coach for the United States right now. So I'm sure he'll take them places for sure. All right. Javali Grant, how did Romario Williams play? 7 out of 10. Some may argue a 6 out of 10, but I would say 7. He ran the channels quite well, but when he was crossing the ball into the box, there was no one there to meet him. There was no one running into space, running in front of the American defenders to meet the ball. So that was quite frustrating, you could say. China Boy says, we were trying something new and no better time to do it than a friendly. That is true. The friendlies are there to experiment. We have 90 more minutes to play against Honduras. I'm sure we're going to see 1 or 2 new faces. Drainik, man can't even win the Costa Cup, so how can he lead our national program? As soon as we have one set of players building chemistry, in comes the new players and disrupts what we were building. Valid point. Javane Clark, we need Schaefer back. Well, a lot of people share that same point. I didn't. Despite not qualifying for the World Cup, I didn't think that Schaefer should have gone. I felt that, especially our away record and how the team was progressing despite those results in the qualifiers itself, I saw levels of improvement. Anyone who says them played good because of the score don't know nothing about football. Well, I guess a lot of people will say that. If I had to give Jamaica an overall rating for this match in particular, I'd give them a 5. Some may say, well, this performance is worthy of a 10 maybe, but a 5 out of 10 is what I would give the Jamaicans for this encounter. Despite the threat that the Americans we still managed to ensure that we neutralized a majority of that threat. I felt that that goal that the Americans scored could have been blocked out as well. Lapse in concentration there, and it just shows how slim the margins of error is in football. 1-2 seconds off your game, and bam, the ball can be in the back of the net. So for me, it is frustrating. It is quite frustrating, and I'm very sad about this. Well, that's the end of that chapter against the Americans. I'm sure we'll meet again quite soon. Most likely in the Gold Cup, whether it's the group stages or latter rounds. I'm sure we'll meet the Americans. We'll always face them. Always, always. There always seems to be a way to face the Americans that they've come together and shown us. So, yep, that's the way things are right now. I'm going to read a few more comments before closing out. All right, Coolic2foot says, I don't know what I just watched. Did we even show up to the match? Well, technically speaking, we did show up to the match, but we didn't possess a very strong attacking threat. Especially if you look at the stats, we didn't do quite well. If you look at possession, the Americans had 70% possession while we had 30% possession. Corner kicks, the Americans had 7, we had 3. The Americans had 1 missed chance, we had none. The Americans won 60 aerial duels, we won 51. So an area that we should be dominating, we didn't. The Jamaicans won the tackles. We won 15 tackles. The Americans won 14. We had more saves, 2 saves. The Americans had none. We made 23 clearances. The Americans made 9. The Americans had 2 offsides. We had none. We committed 16 fouls. They committed 17. We had 1 yellow card from Johan Grandison. He was skating on thin ice the entire match from that early yellow card. So that's basically how it was for that. All right. All right, some interesting questions also coming in box. Javon Forbes, the starting lineup. Okay, I'm going to try run through that. It was a 4-4-2 formation. You had Andre Blake in goal. Centre halves, you had Sergio Campbell and Damian Lowe. Left back, O'Neill Fisher. Right back, Alvas Powell. Central midfield, you had Johan Grandison and Javon Watson. One side, you had Owen Gordon. Next side, you had Michael Binns. Up top, you had Romario Williams and Corey Burke. The best play on the park for the Jamaicans, Corey Burke. 10 for this performance for the Jamaicans. He worked his socks off for the Jamaicans. And for that, he deserves a clap. He really, really deserves it. Okay. So Simon is Whitmore officially the coach. We don't know that because all we know that he's been given the games against the United States and Honduras. That's what we know for right now. We don't know who's going to be our coach for the Caribbean Cup or the Gold Cup. We don't know. But what we know is that he has a deal until after the Honduras game. That is what we know. Cooley2foot says, first touch are worse than the under-17s. The under-17s are fine in some form under Andre Edwards, but they have a tough group ahead. China boy, I miss when we were in the top 60s. I miss when we were in the top 30s, to be honest with you. Javin Clark, the coach wasn't doing anything for Jamaica. Well, I guess. Andrew Downey, too much experiment, just use the players who can play. Demar Phillips, Jermaine Taylor, many top players in the MLS that could play today. Dranick says, he was awful. Grandison, yes, Burke tried. Yes, he certainly did. Well, Reggae Boys fans, thank you very much for tuning into this live stream. I have a match day vlog that is coming out, so stay tuned for that, as that is coming up very, very soon. All right, so take care, and don't forget to subscribe to Reggae Boys Commentary.